Welcome, everyone. We're diving deep into the world of money today.
Yeah.
We've got 3 really interesting podcast episodes lined up.
Cool.
Each one looks at finances a little differently, but the goal today is to break down those ideas and make them easy to grasp.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
I think these episodes cover a pretty wide range of topics, too.
Right. From the basics of what money even is to stocks and even digital currencies.
Yeah, those are getting more and more attention these days.
Definitely. So maybe a good place to start is that most basic question. What is money? We use it all the time, but what's the idea behind it, really?
That's a good question.
It is.
Well, one of the podcasts describes it as this magic ticket.
Okay.
It lets you trade it for things you need, or I guess just want.
I like that magic ticket.
It kind of highlights that the whole system is based on everyone agreeing, that it has value.
Right. Like a dollar bill by itself isn't really worth anything, is it? We all just kind of agree that it represents something.
Exactly. And there's that element of trust, right? Another podcast used Disneyland as an example.
Oh, interesting.
You trade your dollars for tickets there because everyone agrees that within the park, those tickets have value.
Makes sense.
It's all a system built on trust, just
Yeah.
like money in general.
Huh. Yeah. So we've got that magic ticket idea, and it seems like one of the main things people do with money is save it, right? Like the classic piggy bank.
Right. That's usually how we first learn about saving.
Totally. But one of the episodes pointed out that money can actually grow.
Oh, yeah. They talk about interest.
Uh-huh.
So when you put money in a bank, they'll actually pay you a little bit to hold on to it.
They do.
Yeah. It might not seem like much at first, but over time, that interest adds up.
So it's not just about keeping your money safe. It's about making it work for you.
Exactly.
This makes me think of the stock market, which can seem pretty confusing.
It can be. One podcast actually used a pizza analogy for stocks. Yeah. They said, imagine owning a slice of a company. That's basically what a stock is.
Oh, okay.
When that company does well, your slice or share becomes more valuable, just like, a piece of a real pizza.
Okay, I think I'm getting that. But how does a company get sliced up into stocks to begin with?
Another episode used the example of a toy factory.
All right.
So let's say this factory needs money to expand, maybe get more equipment.
Uh-huh.
They can sell shares or stocks to raise that money.
Interesting.
And when you buy a stock, you're kind of betting that that company's going to do well in the future.
So just like a pizza's value could go up or down, the value of a stock depends on the company's performance.
Right. There are always ups and downs.
Makes sense. But honestly, the stock market seems so complicated.
Oh, it definitely can be.
Where would someone even begin?
2 of the podcasts talked about apps like Robinhood and Coinbase.
Yeah, I've heard of those.
They make buying and selling stocks a lot more user-friendly.
So you don't need some fancy broker.
Nope. And you can start with a small amount of money. You don't need to be a millionaire.
Huh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's a pretty good way to get your feet wet.
Totally. And speaking of new ways to invest, we can't forget about things like Bitcoin and all that.
Digital currencies, they're getting a lot of buzz.
Yeah, for sure. What did the podcasts have to say about them?
Well, one compared Bitcoin to digital gold.
Digital gold.
Yeah. Highlighting its potential as like a long-term store of value. But then another podcast called it Magic Internet Money.
Okay, that sounds a little different.
Right. They were focusing on how it's decentralized, meaning it's not controlled by any banks or governments.
That's pretty interesting.
It is. But how does this magic internet money actually work?
Yeah, I was wondering the same thing.
It's all based on something called blockchain technology. It's basically this super secure digital ledger that keeps track of all Bitcoin transactions.
A digital ledger. So it's like a revolutionary new way to track and verify transactions.
That's the idea. Makes it way harder to counterfeit or mess with.
Okay, I'm starting to get it, but can you actually use Bitcoin for anything? Like buy stuff with it?
Oh, yeah. One podcast told a story about this programmer who bought 2 pizzas with 10,000 Bitcoin back in 2010.
Whoa, back in 2010.
Yep. Today, those same Bitcoin would be worth millions.
Millions. Seriously.
Seriously, it just goes to show the potential, but also the volatility of cryptocurrencies.
Wild. So we've covered a lot, from traditional money to stocks and even digital currencies. What are some key takeaways our listeners should be thinking about?
I think the biggest one is that money in all its forms is a tool, and understanding it can help you use it strategically. Whether you're saving, investing, or diving into crypto, taking that first step towards financial literacy is key.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah, it really is amazing how much these podcasts emphasize that just understanding even the basics of money can help you make like smarter choices, you know?
Totally. And one even suggested some resources for going even deeper.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, like the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, for a broader perspective on building wealth.
Oh, yeah. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I've heard of that one.
Yeah, it challenges those traditional ideas about money, like just getting a job and getting a paycheck.
Right. It encourages you to think about like building assets instead.
Exactly. And they had resources for younger listeners, too, like the Berenstain Bears' Trouble with Money.
Oh, cute.
Yeah, the idea is it's never too early to start learning about saving and, managing your money well.
That's true. Speaking of investing, we talked about stocks, those slices of a pizza representing ownership in a company.
Right.
But how do you actually go about buying and selling those slices?
Well, those apps we mentioned earlier, like Robinhood and Coinbase, make it a lot easier.
Oh,
They
okay.
basically act as your bridge to the stock market.
So instead of needing like a fancy broker or something,
Yes.
you can just use an app that seems a lot less intimidating.
Definitely. And it's not just about individual stocks.
Uh-huh.
These platforms also let you get into other investment vehicles like ETFs.
ETFs. I've heard of those, but honestly, not really sure what they are.
Think of it like a basket of different stocks grouped together.
Okay.
They often track a specific market sector like technology or healthcare, stuff like that.
So instead of betting on one single company, you're kind of spreading your investment across a bunch of them.
Exactly. Diversification, that's the key.
Yeah, that does seem like a good way to manage risk.
It is. It's like instead of just getting one slice of pizza, you
Yeah.
get a combination pizza, get a taste of everything.
I like that analogy. And speaking of diversification, we can't forget about cryptocurrencies.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
We talked about Bitcoin, but what are some of the other big players in that space?
One of the podcasts highlighted Ethereum.
Ethereum. Okay.
Yeah, it's another popular one, but it's unique because of its ability to run something called smart contracts.
Smart contracts. That sounds pretty high tech.
It is. Think of it like a contract written in code that automatically executes when certain conditions are met. Yeah, so you don't need a middleman. Makes transactions way more efficient and secure.
So it's like a digital agreement that basically enforces itself.
Yeah, you got it. And it's not just about crypto. This technology could change a lot of industries.
It's crazy to think about how fast the world of finance is changing.
For real.
Yeah,
But with all these options, it can be kind of overwhelming to know where to start,
totally.
One thing that really resonated with me from those podcasts was the idea that you don't need to become a financial expert overnight.
Right.
Small, consistent actions can make a huge difference over time.
Like setting up automatic savings contributions, stuff like that.
Exactly. Or
Yeah.
investing a small amount each month.
Yeah.
It's like that snowball effect,
Yeah.
Small actions build momentum and lead to big progress eventually.
That's encouraging to hear that you don't need like a ton of money to start making smart moves.
For sure. And you don't have to figure it all out alone either.
Right.
There are tons of resources out there, books, podcasts, financial advisors, all kinds of things.
True. So it's all about taking those first steps.
Yeah.
Whether that's learning more, getting some guidance, or just like starting to save and invest a little bit at a time.
Exactly.
Well, we've really gone deep on this one, haven't we? Explored everything from like why money exists to stocks and even cryptocurrencies.
We have. Feels like we've taken a crash course on the whole financial world.
Seriously.
Right.
And what's become clear to me is that financial literacy is a journey, not like a destination.
Yeah, you got it. It's all about learning and adapting as things change.
Absolutely. It's not about knowing all the answers right away, but more about like understanding the core ideas and building on that over time.
One of the podcasts made a point that stuck with me. It was that even small choices can make a big difference in the long run.
Oh, that makes me think about compound interest, how even small amounts saved can grow over time.
Exactly. It's the same principle, just applied to your financial habits. Small positive things done consistently make a big impact over time.
It's not about making huge changes all at once. It's more about those little everyday choices, right?
Exactly, like bringing lunch instead of eating out or setting up automatic savings.
Yeah, those small habits can add up.
For sure. One thing I found really interesting was how accessible financial information and tools are now.
Oh, yeah.
With apps like Robinhood and Coinbase, anyone can invest. You don't have to be a Wall Street expert anymore.
It's true. And along with all the information online in books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, it feels like learning about finance is easier than ever.
Definitely. And it's not just about tools and resources.
What else is there?
Mindset. One podcast talked about shifting from feeling intimidated by money to feeling empowered by it.
I like that. Seeing it as something you can control, not something that controls you.
Right. It's about taking charge of your finances and realizing you have the power to shape your future.
Really powerful stuff. And it's okay to ask for help along the way too, right?
Absolutely. Whether it's a financial advisor or even just talking to friends and family, there's no shame in getting support.
So, as we wrap up this money deep dive, what's one thing you hope our listeners take away?
I hope they feel ready to take control of their financial journey, knowing that financial literacy is a lifelong thing, always learning and growing.
I love that. It's not about reaching some perfect level of knowledge. It's about embracing the process and making smart decisions along the way. Thanks for joining us, everyone. And remember, even small steps can lead to big results over time.